So what we've been able to do throughout the last few years of selling projects on the Gold Coast is understand who our purchasers are even more, and then making sure that what we are delivering is perfectly aligned to what they're looking for. I don't think there's a better lifestyle anywhere in Australia. The climate, the beaches, you think about what typifies the Australian lifestyle is about having a barbecue, going to sport, going to the beach. Like the Gold Coast has it in droves. And then you've got all the addition of live music, the arts and cultural precinct. There's just so much going for the Gold Coast. Interest rates have an effect not only on the consumer, but they have an effect on developers and their ability to be able to deliver projects. So I think as we start to see perhaps interest rates come back, that's going to take a little bit of pressure off some of those costs of delivery. I think that there's just such a great road ahead here on the Gold Coast to deliver quality residential apartment projects for local owner-occupiers, interstate purchasers. For us, that's about creating value for the people that choose to purchase off us, because they're taking a risk as well. Buying off the plan, they're taking a risk and they're believing that we're going to deliver for them. And so it's very important that they get some upside on that outside of just their future residents.
So yeah, Brent from SIERA Group. Great to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, mate.
It's been 12 months since we caught up last, and you guys have been continuing the great work. Do you want to give us a bit of an overview about where the pipeline's at, how you guys going with construction, and what are you focused on right now?
Yeah, so we've got a $500 million pipeline here on the Gold Coast. Construction's going really well. We're here at Tapestry on Chevron Island, and construction's well underway. Same with our project Pippi's down in Balinga, so that's really good. And the other thing is we can just get on with doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is delivering apartments for our future residents. And the most important thing is that when we finish these apartments, our residents move in, they walk in, they look out off their balcony and they think this is the best decision that I've ever made. So it's nice just to be concentrating on that and delivering projects.
And so this, obviously, we're at Tapestry right now, and you guys have picked up another site in Balinga. Do you want to tell us a bit about kind of how you got the site and where you're at with that project?
Yeah, that evolved really quickly, actually. So we were presented a site that had a DA approval already in place.
Right.
And we'd been looking for something really special here on the Gold Coast for a long time. When we first came down here, we looked at on-beach opportunities, because I guess that's what the Gold Coast has always been about, being on the beach.
Yeah.
And so in that first phase of looking for a site, we were unable to find what we were looking for. And then this opportunity came up in Balinga, where it's absolute beachfront. It's on the southern beaches. It's very private. It's secluded. And that was something that we couldn't really miss. And so with a DA approval already in place, put it under contract and settled it, I think, within sort of 6 weeks around the Christmas period a year and a bit ago. And then did a DA change application, prepared all the marketing material, launched it to market, and then we're well and truly into construction as well. So basement's complete, level 1 will be poured next week, so it's all happening.
And so with the project in Balinga, what's the end value, how many apartments, and what are the price ranges that are available now?
So it's 19 apartments. They started at $3.6 million and go through to $8.5 million for a penthouse. And we're halfway sold, so we're making really good progress with sales. Obviously, that's happened all very quickly. And the end value for the project, sort of circa $85, $90 million.
Yeah.
So it's a decent sized project, but still very boutique. 11 levels, predominantly half floor residences. The penthouses are 2 levels, and they're half floor but 2 levels. So very special. And again, like just the demand for that on beach sort of product is super strong.
I think that is one of the areas we're seeing like a lot of consumer interest, is like in that kind of higher end stock where it's like you have the absolute beachfront. There's no chance of kind of getting built out. And so with that in mind, like, who are the types of buyers that you're finding coming through?
It ranges a little bit. The buyers that have purchased so far, half interstate, half locals. So some people that have purchased, they're looking for somewhere a little bit as crazy as it seems because of COVID lockdowns and things. For buyers who are sick of travelling overseas, they live interstate, they just want to be able to go to their beach house, and whether it's for a week or a weekend, very close to the Gold Coast airport there, so accessibility is really good. And then we've got local purchasers who are having a weekender from Brisbane. And then we've got local downsizer, lifestylers who are just really looking to move out of larger family homes and into a permanent place on the beach. So what'll be interesting when the project's finished, and I think it's fairly consistent with a lot of the developments along those southern beaches, is that you're not going to see 19 residences occupied all the time. So I think for those people that do live there permanently, like it really, that privacy, which is what they're seeking, is going to be pretty nice.
When I talk to Sydney developers, often it's for a $3.5 million apartment, it might be 5, 6, 7 Ks away from the CBD, more like 70 to 90 square meters because that price per square meter is just pushing up. So I think when you've got that waterfront, like beachfront property at 3.5 mil here on the Gold Coast, I can see why it's attractive for the interstate buyers.
Yeah, it is a great value proposition. And I think some of our buyers, it's an investment as much as it is just a lifestyle play. They see the opportunity where they can appreciate good capital growth over the next decade because those properties are becoming rarer and rarer and the sites are becoming harder to amalgamate. But not only, is it a good value proposition compared to the southern states, when you look at that Chugan-Bulling beachfront, we're able to deliver 300 square metre apartments there, sell them for $3.5 to $4.5 million. Comparing that to the likes of anywhere else that's absolute beachfront on the Gold Coast, like Main Beach, sort of $25,000 a metre, whereas we're selling for $15,000 a metre. So it's actually even just a great...
$15,000 a metre.
It's an amazing value proposition, even on the Gold Coast, without sort of taking into consideration the southern states.
Yeah, totally. And I think one of the interesting things, obviously, about the Queensland market is the labour shortages and the building kind of issues related to just an undersupply of kind of really skilled labour, as well as some of the infrastructure projects and hospitals and the like that are happening. How have you kind of navigated that whole process? Because obviously you're already under construction, so you're able to secure a builder.
Yeah, so here at Tapestry, we're doing the build in-house, which is what we've done for the last decade.
Yeah.
And what's been critical to that is the team that we brought on to build Tapestry. We're obviously really experienced construction guys that have been based on the Gold Coast for a long period of time. We were talking about it the other day without throwing the guys under a bus for their maturity, you add up the years that they've been in the industry and it's sort of 150 plus years of construction experience between the project manager, site manager, structural foreman, safety officer, etc. So with that experience and being on the Gold Coast and delivering both private and public sector projects, they've built up a really good contact list with subcontractors that they've worked with for a long period of time. So what's key for us is that we've got those relationships with the subcontractors. So yes, there's a load of work that's happening here on the Gold Coast, but we know that the subcontractors want to go to a job where they know it's safe, they know it's a good environment, they know they can make money. And so that's very similar to what we've always done even with sales, where it doesn't matter how busy the market is. If we've got a good offering, whether it's in sales or whether it's to come and work on our project, then we're going to attract the right people. And yeah, certainly it affects us in terms of what it costs to deliver a project. Spoke about the infrastructure projects, there's a lot of pressure on wages coming from the public sector. We just got to manage that and keep our hands on the steering wheel. And we've had to look at our pricing for the balance of our apartments and what we've still got left to sell. And it was a strategic decision to get sales early to help with that pre-sale requirement that the financier would have in place, but then also strategically understand the balance of the apartments and how we could price those to make sure that we delivered the projects.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And I think our job, I feel like at Urban, is to make sure that consumers can kind of tell the difference between people that have got a real experience, because experience does count for a lot in development, and be able to tell the difference between the kind of fly-by-night guys versus the people that are really here for the long term. Obviously, you guys have 3 projects on the coast right now. Yeah. What are some of the things that you've kind of been able to take from that, going from project to project? What are some things that you've learnt, and how does that relate to kind of what the consumer should be aware of when they're making those decisions?
When we start a project, you make assumptions around what the floor plan should be, what the amenities should be, how you design the project, off your understanding of who you believe your buyers are going to be. We brought sales in-house sort of nearly 2 years ago now, and we've always used external agents to sell our projects. So what we've been able to do throughout the last few years of selling projects on the Gold Coast is understand who our purchasers are even more, and then making sure that what we are delivering is perfectly aligned to what they're looking for. And that's probably been our biggest learning, and understanding like that the project is going to give them the lifestyle and that they're searching for, which is ultimately what they're looking to buy is that lifestyle. So that's probably been our biggest lesson that we've learned over the last few years, is just understanding exactly who our market is and what they're looking for.
You guys have like 3 major projects on right now. How do they differ in terms of price point, and is it the same type of buyer, or what's the same and what's different?
Yeah, so the 3 projects attract a very similar buyer in terms of what they're looking for with lifestyle. However, each of the project obviously has a different price point. We're here on Chevron Island with Tapestry. We've got 2 bedrooms starting from just under $1 million. 3 bedrooms start sort of $1.5 million. And then if we go into our Surfers Paradise project, which is just off Garfield Terrace, directly opposite the beach, sort of 1.2 upwards. And then our 3 bedrooms heading into $2.5 million plus. And then we spoke about Pippi's in Balinga, which is absolute beachfront, 3+ MPR. Those apartments start $3 to $4.5 million. So obviously price determines where somebody is able to purchase, but sometimes price doesn't play the ultimate decision-making factor. We're here with the village feel of Chevron Island, the arts and cultural precinct over at Hodder. People are looking for this village lifestyle, whereas down in Balinga, you haven't got as much amenity in terms of cafes and restaurants on your doorstep, but you are absolute beachfront and secluded. So I think the buyers are all looking for this lifestyle upgrade. They're looking for a place that they can relax, and in a lot of cases, it's about retirement. It's about spending time enjoying that period of their life.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when I think about the Gold Coast and just the outlook, I think obviously interest rates are going to play an important part in terms of the capital growth story. Probably we've had the last of the interest rate rises, and probably the next one is heading down. I think that unlocks a lot of new developments that are going to come to market. Obviously, we need the labour and the building component as well. And those things kind of need to work hand in hand. How do you see the kind of short, medium and long term for Gold Coast?
Yeah, we're very long on the Gold Coast. I think what we've seen happen is the Gold Coast has reached like economic maturity. So historically, the Gold Coast was about tourism and it was about construction. But now you've got other sectors, health, education, professional services. You've got population and anticipated population growth that's going to exceed well over 1 million people. So the Gold Coast is much more than just a tourist destination now. And so if you think about work-life balance, you've got the employment opportunity here on the Gold Coast. You've also got people who are able to work remotely. So where they split their time between working in New South Wales or Victoria and then here on the Gold Coast. But then the life part of the equation, where I don't think there's a better lifestyle anywhere in Australia. Like the climate, the beaches, you think about what typifies the Australian lifestyle. It's about having a barbecue, going to the beach. Like the Gold Coast has it in droves. And then you've got all the addition of the live music, the arts and cultural precinct. There's just so much going for the Gold Coast. So I don't see that demand from people who are looking for that lifestyle easing. We've obviously constraints on the supply side, as we touched on, construction cost escalation, labour shortages. Interest rates have an effect not only on the consumer, but they have an effect on developers and their ability to be able to deliver projects. So I think as we start to see perhaps interest rates come back, that's going to take a little bit of pressure off some of those costs of delivery. I think in any market, the market finds a way to be able to overcome the problem. So I think even with the labour shortages, we're going to see, whether it's through people moving interstate, looking to contribute to the construction sector on the Gold Coast or in Brisbane, or whether we see skilled migration, whatever it is, I think we're going to see that problem in the long term get solved. And so I think that there's just such a great road ahead here on the Gold Coast to deliver quality residential apartment projects for local owner-occupiers, interstate purchasers.
Yeah, I agree. I think like the private sector and capitalism in general typically operates pretty effectively. And I was talking to some builders, and it's just the classic kind of like free market, private sector doing its thing. And I agree with you. I think they were talking to me about potentially how they can kind of enter the Gold Coast market, because they know that there's so much demand here on the consumer side. It's relatively affordable compared to Sydney, and those kind of underlying economic drivers of population growth, interest rates probably coming down, further infrastructure being built out in relation to the upcoming Olympics. And even in Balinga, where you've got, there is less amenity from a cafe and like cultural perspective at the moment, but those people that are considering creating a cafe in those types of areas are looking for people to be there. And I think when you're buying off the plan, you want to be thinking about what's the environment in and around where I'm going to be settling that property. And I think you want to leave some kind of growth on the table. People want to have some growth on the table as far as there are things that the area can do to kind of improve its relative attractiveness and therefore the price.
Yeah, and that's been really important to us at SIERA, is identifying those emerging areas.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at what we've done in Brisbane over the last decade, and then you look here, Chevron Island, the village feel, we really were very long on Chevron Island. When we first acquired the project to where we are today, you can see the growth that's happened on Chevron Island. The other projects, the demand from developers looking for sites here, the demand from purchasers, and then Belinga's very much the same. So for us, that's about creating value for the people that choose to purchase off us as well, because they're taking a risk as well. Buying off the plan, they're taking a risk and they're believing that we're going to deliver for them. And so we believe that it's very important that they get some upside on that outside of just their future residence, whether that's as an investment property or as a principal place of residence, so that there's something extra for them to benefit from.
Well, mate, as I said at the start, it's been 12 months. You guys have achieved a crazy amount, and we really admire what you guys are doing. We think you guys are one of the best developers in the Gold Coast, and we're super excited to kind of be partnered with you guys and continuing to share the good work that you guys are doing. So I appreciate it from the sector, man. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.